Okay, I'm going to call the meeting to order. And I need to ask if we have a quorum. We do. Okay, great. And I need an agenda approval unless anyone has any questions.
I'll second that.
Thank you. Do we have any consent items? Oh, the minutes. Can we have approval of the minutes?
Approved.
Second?
I'll second that.
Thank you. And now, do we have any consent items? No, we don't. Okay. So we'll go down to presentation and public comments.
We may need a vote on those motions.
Oh, thank you. I'm trying to read off my thing here. Okay, can we vote off the agenda and then the minutes? Approval
All
of the
in favor?
minutes?
I'm in favor.
Okay, great. Now we'll go down to number 4, public comments and presentations. I don't think we had any public comments today.
Can ask if we have any.
Do we have any online? All righty, so we'll go down to our presentations. And I think the first presentation. Okay.
So it says it's online. Make a public comment at this time. In the meantime, if there's anyone in the room who'd like to make a public comment, please go to the podium. I will also say that we have not received any advance requests for public comment or any submitted public comment requests. And seeing no hands raised online, I think we can officially move forward in public comment. But I want to make sure we cover our bases on all that.
Great, thank you. Okay, we'll go on to our presentations, and the first one is the Alzheimer's Association. Who is here? Someone's going to.
Rosemary. I think it's Rosemary.
Oh, Rosemary online, right.
Hi. I think we also did we miss the introductions of who's in the room and who's online?
Do you want me to make introductions for who's in the room? You can't, I don't think you can see us.
Yeah, it'd be kind of nice to know who's
Okay.
in the room.
Okay, Marilyn is out today. So I am the actual chair today since I'm acting as chair today since I'm vice chair. Why don't we go around this way?
Bill Bowles, Park County. Bill Bowles, Park County.
Laura Connick, Town and Monument.
B. Babbitt, Northern El Paso County.
Jen Nemo,
Which hand?
Oh, you're breaking up. I'm sorry, you're breaking up.
Hill Road, Colorado Springs.
And on this side,
Valerie Anders with Silver Key.
Good morning, Melody Hannah with Pikes Peak AAA.
okay, Rosemary, take it away.
Okay, if I can share my screen.
You should be able to, Rosemary. I'm going to stop sharing.
Huh. Okay. Are you able to see that?
Yes, we are.
Okay. So it's kind of weird because I can't, when I share my screen, I can't see, excuse me, I can't see anybody. So if y'all disappear, somebody let me know. So I appreciate you having me here today. I am Rosemary Hadamio. I'm the Regional Director for Central and Southern Colorado. I'm happy to share information about Alzheimer's and other dementias. And we are always seeking to understand what our communities needs. And so at any time you have questions, just please let me know. So today I'm just really going to share some facts and figures and some statistics, but for some reason, okay, there we go. So our vision is really a world without Alzheimer's disease and all other dementias, and that fits right into our mission. The Alzheimer's Association leads the way to end Alzheimer's and all other dementias by accelerating global research, driving risk reduction and early detection, and maximizing quality care and support. So our office, of course, is in Colorado Springs, but we cover 18 counties. So we start from Park County all the way out to the eastern Kansas border, all the way down to the southern border of Oklahoma, New Mexico. And you can see that area in the kind of yellow. And so that's where our office covers. So so we have a lot of I think over 1 million people in our location. So a little bit about some statistics. So an estimated 6.7 million Americans are living with Alzheimer's and dementia, which is in itself pretty scary. One of the things I want to share is when I started here at the association in 2019, we were estimating at 5 million. And so in just a short few years, it's jumped up to 6.7 million. And so that's a lot, and that's pretty scary. So 73% of those 6.7 million are 75 and older. About 1 in 9 people age 65 and older has Alzheimer's. Excuse me. Older Black.
Rosemary, can I interrupt just for 1 second?
Uh-huh.
Your slides are not moving, and so I don't know if you want them to move, because I see that you have a statistics slide that talks about 6.7 million. So I don't know if you want to be further along in your presentation.
No, that's where we're supposed to be.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so do you want to, you'll have to move your slides. I can't do that for you.
Does it show statistics 6.7 million?
It doesn't. The only reason I know that is because I can see your
Well, I'm wondering
It looks like the third slide on there does say 6.7.
It did, but she hadn't moved to that one.
Right. No, that third one, I think down
okay.
did.
Okay, is it showing 6.7 million now?
Well, now we see you and not your slides.
Let's see what's going on. Let's try this again.
Yes. Now we see.
Okay, so now is it showing?
Yes.
Okay, so sorry about that. So, so 73%, as I stated, are age 75 and older. About 1 in 9 people age 65 and older has Alzheimer's. Almost 2/3 of Americans with Alzheimer's are women. And so older Black Americans are about twice as likely to have Alzheimer's or other dementias as older whites. Older Hispanics are about 1.5 times as likely to have Alzheimer's or other dementias as older whites. So as the US population age 65 and older continues to grow, so will these numbers. So By 2015, the number of people age 65 and older may grow to a projected 12.7 million. Barring any development, medical breakthroughs to prevent or cure Alzheimer's disease. So we have, so just a little FYI, so Alzheimer's is not a new disease. It's been here for, it was diagnosed about 119 years ago by Louis Alzheimer's. And so in the 119 years, we have not made a lot of headway in the disease. We have had medications that have helped with symptoms. And right now, we actually have some medications that are shown to slow down the progress of the disease. So we are getting closer, but not as close as we need to be. Okay, so do you see the slide? What is dementia?
You have to go up one more slide for it to show.
Do you see it now?
No, we're still seeing the 6.7 million statistics one.
Well, I don't know what's going on with this.
Hey, Rosemary, if you just, I can see your mouse. If you just move it over and click on slide 6, because we're seeing the PowerPoint app. I don't know if you have the slideshow running or not, but if you just move your mouse over and click on what is dementia slide.
So still not?
We're still seeing just the statistics slide.
Yeah, I don't know how to work that. I haven't had.
Or if you try either the down or left or the down or right arrow.
Yeah, that's what I've been doing.
Okay, yeah, that hasn't been going.
Huh. Okay.
There you go.
So you see it now?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. So I think probably I have it in the PowerPoint view, and that's probably what's going on. Okay, so sorry about that. So we talk about what is dementia, and we look at the simplest way to explain it is that dementia is an umbrella term, and we use that to describe a group of symptoms related to cognitive decline. And so we use it kind of almost a generic term. And so underneath that umbrella term are all about 100 different dementias that can affect a person. So when we look at Alzheimer's disease, it is the most common form of dementia and the one we hear about the most. But other causes can be vascular, Lewy bodies, frontal temporal, and all those affect the person differently. And so I think it's important that that we add all those other dementias in there because, you know, we're all kind of in that same fight, just looking for a cure. And so other conditions like Parkinson's disease can cause dementia, and some situations are reversible, something like hormones, vitamin deficiencies. That's why getting a diagnosis is so important. It's because there are things out there where we've seen people have dementia and just a change. It could be a change in medication. It could be discovering high blood pressure, discovering diabetes. It could be that they're on too much medication, or it could be alcohol related. And so all these things that we need to address, that should be addressed by our doctor, and to kind of rule out anything that is going on that may be causing dementia. So let's see. Okay, so do you see the what we do slide?
We do.
Anybody? Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you. So, so some of the things that we do is we provide care and support for those affected. We educate and raise awareness to grow understanding, and we accelerate research across the globe. So we have our 24/7 helpline, and that is staffed by master level clinicians and specialists, and they provide confidential support and information in over 200 different languages. We have our face-to-face and virtual support groups, our education programs, our online community forum, and that's ALZ Connect, and that's a place for people with Alzheimer's disease and their care partners to connect with others. We have resources such as Live Well. We provide information in early, middle, and late stages. We have our Alzheimer's Navigator, and that was just kind of when somebody is caring for somebody, it's kind of a guide and a tool they can use. We have our community resource finders. We have programs for clinicians, and then resources to address public issues. We have our awareness campaigns, and we really do have a very robust advocacy team that really focuses on a state and a local level, a state level, and then also on a national level to make sure they're working on policies that help people with dementia and Alzheimer's, and helping our seniors as well, and helping to launch bills forward. And so that is a very robust group of people that work on that. And so we advance diversity, equity, inclusion. And so part of that is very important because we want to make sure that everybody has equal access to resources, especially when it comes to the new medications that are coming down the line. They're very costly. And so we want to make sure that everybody has equal access to them. And so we want to also make sure that we're advocating for those people, for their rights, the people that have Alzheimer's and other dementias, and advocating for their rights so that they are treated fairly. And part of that, and I can just give you an example, is when the new medications came out, Medicare did not want to pay for them. And so part of that was our advocacy team went into action and said, you have to pay for it. It's part of it's approved. It should be paid for. And so there are some qualifications for Medicare to pay for it. I can tell you that the VA is paying for it. For veterans. And so that's very important information for a lot of people to know. And so, it's kind of a really exciting time right now with these new medications coming down. But we want everybody to have equal access, and that's so very important. So we talk about our 24/7 helpline. That is available around the clock, 365 days a year. They do not shut down for, holidays or anything else. They're always on call. That's the number one go-to because of the fact that we do cover 18 counties in our office. And so if somebody calls they don't always get a quick response just because we're spread so thin. And so that 800 number is really the number to give out and to call and to share. So we do have our virtual and in-person programs. We have our free online e-learning. So anytime you want to know something, you can just log into the alz.org. And then we have our education programs that we do virtually, in person, and you can see a list of some of them that are available. And we do have our 10 warning signs, dementia conversations, all the way down to our first responders. And the first responders is important. We've had over 300 officers in Pueblo take our first responders, and over 300 Colorado Springs officers take our first responders. training. And that's very important because when we understand that Alzheimer's and dementia is a disease, it's something that the person cannot control. And so their behaviors look different. Approaching somebody with Alzheimer's and dementia looks different. One of the things we've been working with a little bit too is those rural communities. And so at some point, if they have to do evacuation, that's going to look a lot different. And so that's important for our rural communities, well, in the city too, because we've seen some evacuations in the city. And that's going to be important information to have too, because evacuating somebody with Alzheimer's and dementia is going to look a lot different than evacuating somebody without. And so those are some of the the education classes we have. We have support groups. We have over 70 support groups throughout the state. We also have them, virtually and in person. And so at any time of probably the week, somebody can get into a support group. And the virtual ones are important too, because that way people throughout the state that can't attend because they can't leave the house, because they're caring for their loved one, they can't leave their loved one alone, which we see a lot. They can attend those support groups. And so the support groups are important because they're able to kind of share and exchange information, kind of decompress sometimes, gather resources. And so, and sometimes, a lot of times, that is their only outlet, is that hour and a half a month to come to a support group. That's our caregiver's only outlet. And so it's important that we're there for them. We do depend on volunteers and community partners to help us move our mission forward. And so we can't do the work that we do without our community partners and our volunteers. It's completely impossible. And so we do have a robust website, alz.org. And if you go onto that and you get lost, just call the helpline number. So we talk about next steps, what's next. So I encourage you to learn more about Alzheimer's at alz.org. We would love to attend your events, and we would love for you to share information. Something as simple as taking our helpline cards with you and sharing that. If you go to the doctor's office and you see that they don't have those, share them with them and recommend that, hey, why don't you have these helpline cards here? Something that simple is huge for us as an organization. So we would also love if you join our movement. Our Walk to End Alzheimer's is taking place Saturday, the 30th, and it's just a couple of days away. We are at Memorial Park. We walk around Prospect Lake. It's a great time. It's a great event. We have lots of fun. We have lots of resources, and that's the biggest thing, is that we have I think we doubled our amount of tables this year. And so there's going to be a ton of information for everybody, all kinds of different resources, and that's important. I think the other important thing to share is that our walk, because we are focused on those unpaid caregivers, you do not need to raise money to register and to walk with us. We realize that our families are strapped, that they do not have resources, and we just really want them to come out and just enjoy the day of celebration and, have some joy and some laughter. We have a great DJ, and he plays really good music, and just a good day for us to share some companionship. And so I hope you all be out. At the Promise Garden ceremony starts at 10, but we're open, starting at 8:30. Our tables should be up and running, and I'm pretty sure the Area Agency on Aging has a table there. Is that right, Melissa?
We do.
Okay. And so that's kind of where we're at.
Does anybody have any questions
Deb,
over here? Oh, yes.
could you go into a little more the equal access to those new medications? How is that going to work?
So what we do is we advocate at a national level to make sure that Medicare is covering those medications, right? Right. You know, when it first started, they'd say, oh, you have to be in a trial match to be able to participate in that. Well, that's not fair because not everybody can participate in a trial match, right? Not everybody has the $25,000 to shell out every month to get those it's an intravenous injection. And so not everybody has the money to do that. So making sure Medicare covers those costs and making sure that you know, our insurance covers those costs, and that's across the board.
And Rosemary, what benefit are we seeing now with those new medications?
So what we're seeing is it's a slowdown. So it's a slowdown. The medications are giving in the early stages, which is important. That's why we need that diagnosis, because it's early stages and it is proven to slow down the progression. And so if we can give somebody a few more of those really good years, then that's important. That's what we want to do.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Online as well? Any?
It's Bill Bowles. Yeah, Bill Bowles from Park County. I'm changing hats here, putting on the Park County Senior Coalition hat now. It says it's on.
No, there has to be a red.
Yeah. Okay. Bill Bowles, Park County. I was putting on my Senior Coalition hat from Park County now. The southern part of Park County, we're planning on having some, I guess you call them picnics, but there's some dinners with the seniors there. And how much notice do you need, and do you come up there? This being the Lake George area.
Yes. Hi, Bill. I would love to come up there. I actually just inherited Park County because I would go as far as Teller County, and then somebody else was in Park County, and we had some kind of adjustments. And so I just inherited Park County, and so I would be thrilled to go up there and fill a void if necessary, and share information.
Fine. I say whenever we set up one of those picnics, I'll let you know. It'll be in the Lake George area.
Mm-hmm. Good. Excellent.
Thank you.
Jen has a question.
Rosemary, this is Jen with Colorado Community Health Alliance. There's two other coaches beside myself that work with primary care physicians, and we would be more than happy to make sure that we get those materials in primary care physician offices. We serve Peak Vista, UC Health, what is it now, Common Spirit, a lot of the larger systems, as well as small private practices. So if you would let me know how to get a supply of those materials that you'd like in their offices, we can help you with the distribution.
I would love that. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Anybody else? Melissa?
Sorry, I have to raise my hand too, because I can't keep track of everything over here. I would just like to reiterate that we will have a table at the Alzheimer's Walk at Prospect Park, Memorial Lake on Saturday. And any RAC member is welcome to come and hang out at the table and be with us if you'd like. So we will have another staff person, Lucy Crandall from our family caregiver program, as well as recently leaving the Blue Book will be at the table too. But please, anybody come by and visit.
And what time will you be setting up?
I'll be there at 8:30
Okay, great.
because it
Thank
takes
you.
me about a minute to put everything out. So,
Mhm.
Okay, great. Thank you.
yeah.
All right, we'll move on. Rosemary's kind of doing double duty
Yeah.
today.
And
Go
if I
ahead.
can add, there's a lot of people that go, oh, I don't really want to walk. You don't have to walk. You can just come out, hang out, listen to great music. You don't have to walk the lake. You can just hang out. So there you go. Okay,
Right.
taking off that hat.
Okay, Rosemary's doing double duty today. She is the head of our membership committee, and she's going to talk about some recent things going on.
Yes. So we just want to talk
Rosemary,
about,
I'll put the agenda up in a second. Give me a second.
okay. Okay.
So that should help remind you the things that we were going to
Mhm.
talk about today, Rosemary.
Okay. So as far as renewals for the executive team, there are none until 2025. Am I correct in understanding that?
Well, we're talking about for 2024. This is starting in January.
Okay. But as
Right.
far as the executive committee, there are no renewals until 2025. So Marilyn will continue as chair. Debbie is vice chair. Is that correct?
Yes. And then
Okay.
Bill,
then-
second vice chair. You are
Yes.
continuing in membership.
Yes. And so ideally, my hope is for the membership committee to see if we could get a new chair. So if somebody wants to step up on that, it's just because, you know, as I shared, we cover 18 counties and my time is very limited. And so if somebody wants to or is interested in stepping into that role, that would be great. And so you can just let Melissa know or myself, and then we can talk about it a little bit.
And also as a reminder, although our officers have agreed to stay in place with the exception of Rosemary, hoping someone will step in. If anyone is interested in those positions, you are welcome to express your interest and be considered for a chair, vice chair, second vice chair. So just know that that's always a possibility too. For those of you who we just don't know that you're interested yet, speak up. But if not, we are grateful that our gals and guy have continued to stay in their roles. And Maria
Okay.
has a question.
Go ahead, Maria.
My computer's kind of laggy. What are the time requirements to be the membership chair?
So as the membership chair, really the time requirements are pretty minimal because we attend the executive committee meeting. And then, you know, ideally we're looking for people who want to sit on the rack. And so, and I feel like I haven't been able to do that. And so really it's important that I step away and let somebody else do that, right? To do it justice.
And just to let you know, Maria, the executive committee meets on the first Monday of every month, and it's a Zoom meeting. Usually lasts about an hour.
Yeah.
Oh, the first Wednesday of every month. Yeah.
So,
Thank you.
and then Jen I'm going to say your name wrong. Nemo. Is that how you say it, Jen? Nemo?
Nemo is the correct, yes.
Okay, thank you. So her term is up for the SRS chair, and she is willing to stay on as a non-voting member to shepherd in the new chair, subcommittee chair. We appreciate your time and your willingness to be able to do that, Jen, because it's a very important role that you've taken on. And so if somebody's interested in that, that would be great. And then Eric Bidwell is also renewing his term, and so we appreciate his commitment as well. So we're pretty excited about him continuing on with us. Did I leave anything out, Melissa? And Jen, you might want to share a little bit about the SRS chair position.
So the SRS chair organizes our quarterly meeting, and we review the 4-year strategic plan and compare different projects that are going on in our community to find alignment. Along with that, we want to create sort of a progress status report to show where we're moving the dial and be able to share that with Melody and the rest of the Area Agency on Aging to see that we are completing tasks, that we're doing things, and that we are being held accountable to the plan that we helped write. So that's pretty much what we do with the Strategic Review Subcommittee.
And you are next on the agenda anyway, Jen, to talk about the Strategic Review Committee and recruit for the October meeting.
So that being said, our next meeting is October the 12th at 10 a.m. So I'd like to invite anyone who's interested to join to please send Melissa an email so we can include you on that calendar invite. On that meeting, we are planning to discuss a little bit more of what we learned from Park County when we were up in Bailey, and kind of carry on some more of that work to how it relates with our 4-year plan. And there was a lot of discussion that came up after that meeting. So we want to take some time to reflect on the information that we received and kind of go through that as a group on SRS.
And is that a Zoom meeting?
It can be, yes.
Okay, so it's both.
Yeah, I would say it's nice to be in person. However, I understand the travel requirements and limitations that some folks may have, so we will offer it as both.
Great, thank you, Jen.
Mhm.
And Melissa, are you doing the director's report today or Melody?
Both of us.
Okay.
Melissa, would you like to start with that first, reporting on the 4-year plan and SRS quarterly meetings?
Yeah, so I'll just kind of reiterate this again. So apologies that Jody is not with us. He was going to try to be online, but I think he's traveling, so it didn't work out. But he did send Melody and I his talking points for today. And one of them is to just reiterate the importance of the Strategic Review Subcommittee. And we spent, a lot of time the first 4 years ago when some RAC members said, we want to have a committee that we can keep talking about the 4-year plan. So it's not something that just ends up on a shelf and we never think about it again, that we really keep it kind of top of mind, and no better group to make that happen than the RAC. And so the Strategic Review Subcommittee was created at that time. Jody was actually one of the, RAC members who helped to spearhead that, as was Jen, and I think B, and Bill, and Dave Betzler, who's not, on the RAC anymore. So we just really want to keep that top of mind. And we just had that great meeting in Park County where we were able to kind of dig back into some of the priorities from the 4-year plan. And so please, RAC members, if you have some interest in kind of keeping your fingers a little bit deeper into what's going on, the Strategic Review Subcommittee just meeting on a quarterly basis is a great way to keep that going. And we need that input and oversight from our RAC, because then we're going to get ready to do another contract, application, which Melody's going to talk about here in a second. And when we know a lot more about what's happening from the Strategic Review Subcommittee and our 4-year plan, hopefully that can help guide the Technical Review Subcommittee's work as well, to be a little bit more directive in thinking about where the RAC wants to see dollars go. So the two are hand in hand. And just another really strong ask for people to consider the Strategic Review Subcommittee that meets quarterly, but it's a great conversation, and Jen will hopefully be training another chair to take on that role. So thanks. That was the first part of Jody's report. And if we have comments on that, I will turn it back over to Debbie to let people make comments.
May we have the date and time again of that meeting?
I think Jen mentioned October 12th at 10 o'clock in the morning.
And this is B again. I would just like to remind people that any member of the RAC is welcome to join our subcommittees. So that's sort of self-selection in terms of joining those subcommittees. So feel free to come and join that discussion.
Thank you. So I have a couple of items to share. I'll present one at a time, and then if you all have any questions or comments. The first is that our ARPA funding for the first quarter is running very smoothly. Our 10 applicants that were approved, they are starting to make purchases and moving forward with projects for capital and infrastructure. So that's very exciting. They'll be asked to submit quarterly reports. So that first one is coming up. So providers can expect to receive an email from Jody with the report format and then questions about their progress. This funding is different than our base funding in terms of the reporting requirements. There's no data entry for it, but we definitely want to see that they're making progress on their projects and then see if they need additional support. Any questions about ARPA funding? Okay. The next item is that our team is updating the AAA base funding provider contract. So originally this was the 1-year contract. We've now moved to 2 years. That seems to be going well. We're going to stick with 2 years. So we're updating the contract just in the last couple of years, seeing items that are missing that will help protect our providers and also the Pikes Peak AAA. So there's some items that we're missing in our contract that we've added to, and that's going through a review process right now. So we've incorporated language from our state contract. We've looked at contracts from across the state from other AAAs to see best practices for our contract language and expectations for our providers, wanting to make those things very clear to providers and also equitable across all providers to make sure that those providers are treated the same in terms of the expectations for reporting or corrective action plans or what support we can provide. So that's making the rounds right now with our team. Any questions about the contract? Yes, Jen.
Is there any possibility that within that language, we're including things about diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging, as that's part of our 4-year strategic plan?
Yes.
Yay.
That's a great question, because we also do, in the past, we haven't included that language, and we also haven't included civil rights language. So we're trying to incorporate that, since even though that's not an explicit requirement from the state, we still, as an organization, want to include that and make that consistent for our other grant programs that do ask for it. So
Great.
yes, thank you for asking that question.
Thank you so much.
Mhm.
And I have a question. When does that new process begin for the new contract?
That's a great question. That's my next point. So in anticipation of that new 2-year contract, we're setting up the timelines for our notice of funding availability. So that's the NOFA, the RFP, which is the request for proposals, and then the TRS, the technical review subcommittee, to review those. So in the past, we have typically released that in January and February, and then asked our providers, we've only given them a month turnaround. It's really tight considering all the other things that we ask them to do within that period, which includes our audit with the state, our own annual assessments, previously surveys. It's a big lift. So we're moving that timeline up, and to account for holidays, we'd like to release that in November and then have a mid-January deadline. So they will have 2.5 months. We've also taken on the survey, the annual performance measure surveys that we've reviewed in this meeting. And so our staff takes care of that, so they also don't have to do that during the exact same time. So trying to relieve that administrative burden. So what that means for this group is that the technical review subcommittee hopefully will meet in February to review all of the applications. That's after our team has combed through them, pulled out all applicable information, compiled that into here's the request, here's what the AAA staff proposed for approval, here's what the TRS recommends, and then going to the full RAC and finally the COG board of directors. We also show historical information. So I'm answering a lot more than what was asked of me, but hopefully this is helpful for new members. We also show historical information so that if there is an organization you're not familiar with that is applying, you can see their historical spend down patterns, activity, but then also hear from staff if there's any reason for those ebbs and flows, because sometimes there's explanation for staffing. COVID certainly was a wild time too for changes in spending patterns. So there's a lot of information for backup that we also supply to you, in addition to the applications that are available for you all to read. So we're moving up the timeline. Originally, I think the TRS would meet in March. So we're moving that up by a month and then hopefully giving us more time to work with the providers on budget adjustments and then also our contracts so that we have a hard deadline of July 1st to execute those. So absolutely want to
Are you
meet that
talking
deadline.
about next year?
This coming, it's coming up, 2024.
2024.
Yes, yes. So those contracts will be executed July 1st for a 2-year period. So the applicants only have to submit an application once every 2 years. Yes. Hopefully that's a relief for them as well. It's a lot of work. That was a lot of info dumping, but are there any questions? We'll go over all of that again too, as we're moving through the process. And if I can put in a plug for the TRS, we've had some really strong members in the past, would encourage anyone who would like to join. Love to get people's input on that process as well. Okay, any questions online about that information? Okay.
Melissa has a question.
Oh, yes. Yes. So the second one is, or one of the first of the two things, we'll hold our next quarterly provider meeting on October the 25th. Those meetings have been permanently moved to the 4th Wednesday of each quarterly month. So this is a meeting, if you're not familiar, that we started about, I think, a year and a half ago, maybe, where we're trying to pull all of our providers together as a networking and support opportunity to share updates, information, data entry, contract requirements, really covering all of the things, anything that providers would like to present or share with others so that the network can be aware of it. Before we were communicating, I think, primarily through email and just one-on-one with providers. So trying to make more opportunity for connection. They seem to be going really well. So it's great to see RAC members too that have attended. You all are encouraged to attend those to see what details we share with them. We also do an after report for those meetings. It's not in a minutes format, but it's to cover that for anyone who's not able to attend either in person or online. And then the last item is Jody wanted to express a thank you, sincere appreciation to all the RAC members for investing your time, your energy, your expertise over the last year. He really appreciates it. We all do. And to please consider how you may serve in the coming year. And that's all that I had. Thank you.
Okay. And Marilyn is not here today, so I am just going to thank everybody for letting me preside today, and hopefully I'll get used to it because hopefully I will be taking over in 2025. I think Marilyn is going to continue for one more year. At least that's what I have heard. And the only thing I want to mention is that committee chairs get appointed in January by the RAC chair. So if people are interested in any of those committees, please talk to Melissa or our current chair or Jody so that we can get names out and then we can work on Marilyn can work on who's going to be appointed in January. Any other questions? So we'll move on. Any I know I forgot to ask earlier if we had any action items, but I don't think we have any action items. Number 7 is discussion items. Do we have any discussion items that people want to know about? Okay, next meeting schedule. Our next meeting will be October 26th at 10 o'clock. And then instead of having a meeting in November and December, we will have one meeting, and December 7th has been proposed. So I maybe could hear any comments that anybody has, whether that would be appropriate for most people or if that's problematic. No comment. So I'm assuming that we will have that meeting on December 7th. Great. Great. The RAC Executive Committee meeting will be the first Wednesday of each month. So it will be the first Wednesday in October. Yes.
So this is Melissa, and I don't know if it was mentioned earlier, and we haven't always been really great about acknowledging birthdays of our RAC members, but we did have a milestone birthday happen just recently. And for those of you who are in the room, we get to have the benefit of some chocolates to celebrate B's birthday. And so did want to just bring that up, and congratulations, B. And it's been wonderful working with you for all these last couple of years, and happy birthday. So, and hold on. Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you very much. Like you say, it was a milestone birthday. Someone said to me in the last couple of days, "You're not over the hill. You're on the slide downward." I didn't know. I really didn't like that very much.
That's as bad as over the hill.
Anyway, you know, a big part of these last 10 years that I've been in Colorado Springs has been the working here or volunteering here at the Area Agency on Aging, and then being a part of the RAC for 7 years, because I had 2 terms and then we extended it for an additional year. So you've been a big part of my life, and I've really enjoyed working with all of you, and just really excited about any new members coming on and joining the party. So thanks a lot.
And B, you're still going to volunteer, so you're still here.
Yes, I'll
volunteering.
continue to volunteer. I love it. I love answering those phone calls every Monday morning from the seniors, and it keeps me up to date on what are the issues. You know, what are the issues that move the senior to call in and say, I need help. And so, yes, I'll continue doing that. And who knows, I might sit in on some meetings for the RAC, even though I'm off. My term will be up at the end of the year.
Well, thank you. I know there's that PPACG schedule. I'm not sure what that means.
That just shows the schedule of other meetings that PPACG has, including the board meeting,
Oh, okay.
mobility coordinating committee, that kind of thing. So for
Okay.
people, if they're interested.
Yeah, if I have, just to maybe mention, I haven't attended any of those board meetings, but I do review the agenda, which is usually like, I don't know, 160 pages or more, but it's interesting to just see everything else that's going on in the region that is dealt with through this board. So it is interesting. I think we do get it as an email. So if anybody can or wants to spend some time doing that, it can be very, very interesting. And the last thing here is adjournment. Does anybody want to? I'll call for adjournment. Second. Okay, great. All right, we will adjourn the meeting. Thank you.